Gee, I'm sorry about what happened to your dog, Mr. Davis. I know I promised to watch him for you, but what happened, it really wasn't my fault. I was just having a little fun. When you left me here with Sparky, I was bored, you know? I mean, it's not like Sparky does tricks or anything. Except, of course, he's so small you can do magic tricks with him, like hiding him in your jacket and stuff. But usually when I come here to doggy sit, he just lays there on the floor and stares at me. And that's no fun. So I decided to call my friend Jeff. He didn't say not to use the phone. So I called Jeff and asked him to come over, you know? I told him I was just sitting here with the dog and stuff and I could really use the company. So Jeff, he came over and we started kind of like exploring the house and stuff. We were looking around the room upstairs for a while, but we didn't touch or break anything. Then a little later we went down to the kitchen, see, to get some food. And Jeff, he noticed that you have one of those Insta-Freeze units. So he says, "Cool, an Insta-Freeze." And he starts messing with the knobs and stuff. And I said, "Don't mess with that, it's expensive." But Jeff, he kept playing with it. He put a soda in it and froze it in like 10 seconds. Then he froze an orange. Then he did an apple. And then Sparky started barking. Dumb dog should have known when to keep his trap shut. I mean, that dog just picked the worst time to start barking. Because Jeff, he was like crazy into this Insta-Freeze machine. And he looks at Sparky, 3 inches high, and barking like he means business. And Jeff, he gets this nasty look in his eye, and he grabs Sparky. And I say, "Hey, no, don't do that, man. I'm supposed to be watching this dog. You can't drop him into the Insta-Freeze. It'll kill him, man." But Jeff, he doesn't listen. He just drops poor old Sparky in the machine. Dog still barking his dumb little head off. And 10 seconds later, whammo, we had a frozen dog. And Jeff, he just looks at the thing and he starts laughing and tears are rolling down his face because Sparky was like frozen stiff in mid-bark. Me, I didn't think it was funny. I said, "Hey, Jeff, you idiot, you've killed the dog. Now what am I going to tell Mr. Davis?" And after a few minutes, Jeff, he's a really nice guy, see, so he sees I'm upset. And he says, "Stop whining, the dog ain't dead." And I said, "What do you mean he ain't dead? He's frozen stiffer than a popsicle." But Jeff, he kept telling me that the dog wasn't dead. He calls an older kid, this guy who works at like some big fancy lab. And he tells the guy about your dog, about Sparky being frozen solid and all. And the friend, he tells us to bring the dog down to this lab right away. It seems the big lab boys, they could thaw him out. So what was I supposed to do? I mean, I knew you'd be mad if you came home and found your dog all like stiff. So I figured I didn't have anything to lose. So I said, okay, and Jeff and I dumped Sparky in a trash bag and drove him to the lab. These scientist guys, as soon as Jeff's friends introduced them, I knew they were kind of crazy. Because there were 4 of them, and they grabbed Sparky out of the bag and started tossing him back and forth like a football. I mean, they were having a regular game of catch with the frozen dog, and that ain't right. So that's when I got mad. See, I told them that you were coming back later tonight, so they had to unfreeze the dog right now. So they said no problem and took Sparky into their lab. And when they brought him back, he was like this. But hey, it's not so bad. It's not like they gave him really bad breath or anything. They just unfroze him and messed with his brain a little. Okay, more than a little. Okay, a whole bunch. So they made him a little smarter. So what? Okay, so maybe he's more than just a little smarter. Maybe he is now the only dog on the block who can play the piano, write poetry, and solve algebra problems all at the same time. But look at the bright side. That kid of yours, you were thinking of hiring a tutor for her, weren't you? Well, now you don't have to bother. So if you look at it that way, I just saved you a whole bunch of money.